All right. You know, I saw this America's Promise video from like a week ago. The only reason I picked it is because the first slideshow image that it skips to when you hold your thumb over the thumbnail, or you hold your mouse over the thumbnail, is like slavery, and it's called America's Promise. And I wanted to know where they're going with this. Are they going to talk about like 40 acres and a mule, the promise we broke? I want to see. Let's go.
I want to tell
Howdy.
you something that
Okay, hold on. I just want to say, we're talking about race issues in PragerU today because they found a black guy, all right? This guy's about to say some insane shit because they knew that if they had a white guy saying it, it was going to be... Keep in mind, the people here, I don't think they write the scripts. The people speaking don't write the scripts. They're given the scripts by... I think that for a lot of them, Dennis Prager actually writes them himself. Yeah, so... the person you see speaking is just the spokesman for whatever PragerU wants to say. But all right, hit me with it. Maybe it'll be a good point,
Everybody once knew, and now many have either forgotten or never learned. Pay very close attention.
Okay.
America promises you freedom.
Cool.
America does not promise you love. Let's start with the freedom part. It's all right there in the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution.
Then why were there still slaves after the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution? Wait, you can't say it's all right there when these documents were ratified and they still had millions of slaves. That's a little, seems a little contradictory if you think about it for a hot second.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Free speech.
Oh.
Freedom to practice the religion of your choice. The purpose of government is to protect your freedom, period.
Okay.
America was a rough and tumble place in its early days. It still is. Let's hope it always remains so. You don't want to live in a country where all your needs are taken.
Wait, are we really not going to acknowledge the slavery bit? You can't say, "Oh yeah, dude, freedom? It's all right here," and the document was ratified during the slave days by slave owners. You can't. We're just skipping right by that, I guess. But all right. So now we have Secret Service agents. These are Secret Service agents, right? I mean, they look like them. This is what I pay my taxes for. Every U.S. citizen should have 2 Secret Service agents dedicated exclusively to feeding them grapes, fanning them, washing them, etc., etc.
Care of by the government. That's not how you become great. That's how you become dependent, vulnerable, and truly oppressed.
So this is a really common conservative narrative. If the government does anything for you, that will make you like actually oppressed and dependent on the government. And this logically fails in so many ways. So I'm going to bust out some Ben Shapiro type like facts and logic right here. First of all, in most measures of democracy, European countries actually have a higher freedom index, and they have more robust welfare states. So that kind of debunks it right there. But additionally, what are we talking about when we say provided by the government? What does it mean? The government provides you freedom. What does that actually mean? Like, really think about that for a second. When the government, how do you provide freedom? What does that mean? They just let you do whatever? Well, if that's the case, what's the point of the state at all? Does it, what is it doing? What is the actual thing that it's doing? Well, the answer to that is that, unfortunately, rights, like a right to freedom, they don't just exist in and of themselves. They have to be enshrined. They have to be defended. This is the key difference between positive freedom and negative freedom, which is something that conservatives pretend doesn't exist. The idea of, I forget which one is which always, but the 2 different types of freedom are essentially this. One freedom is you can do whatever you want. And the other, or more accurately, we won't stop you from doing what you want to do. And the other type of freedom is you have the ability to do that which you want to do. Negative freedom is the one conservatives care about. Freedom from interference. The state can't prevent you from doing X or Y. But positive freedom is what they never talk about. The ability to be able to do the things you want to do. Guys, what freedoms do you have as a person with no money whatsoever? Well, legally, you have the exact same freedoms as anybody else. The state is equally incapable of preventing you from doing X or Y. But in a positive sense, you have no freedom because everything costs money. Everything. You don't have the freedom to eat. You don't have the freedom to live. You don't have any freedom at all. So that's the reason why sometimes welfare from the state makes you more free. Because if you're given money to buy food, you now have the freedom to not starve. Not only is there not a law against not starving, but now you have the ability to push for freedom. This is the critical distinction here. Welfare makes you more free, unless you think you're free living 3 jobs or working 3 jobs trying to save up enough money to pay back college debt and pay for your kids' food and school supplies. Is that freedom? You can do anything, hypothetically, but you only have the ability to do nothing. All right.
America is a land of opportunity for anyone of any color. Just follow some basic rules. Get an education, work hard.
Really had to throw in of any color there too, just to like preempt that one too, you know?
Act responsibly, and you'll have a good shot at a good life. But you might also fail. You might fail a bunch of times and then succeed. Or you might succeed and blow it all. That's America, a never-ending dance of risk and reward, all made possible by freedom.
What if you could make the risk smaller so that even if your business venture doesn't succeed, you don't like die? And what if the reward was easier to get? Because lately it's been harder and harder to get. Wealth inequality is growing more and more. The newest generations have a smaller and smaller proportion of the wealth available in this country. If you disguise all economic activity of risk and reward, you can say this for anyone. Guys, do you know what else was risk and reward? Medieval Europe. Well, you know, you could risk it all and raise a peasant army to go attack a local nobleman, seize their castle and their treasury, and use the wealth to pay a private army. Then the king will benight you and ratify you, and that's the reward. But sometimes you just die. You know, sometimes you can make this argument about anything. You can make this argument about the Egyptian pharaohs, risk and reward. All of life is risk and reward. Using these vague generalities is just a way to get away with not addressing any of the actual material realities of the situation, which is why PragerU videos never use actual numbers, by the way.
Made possible by freedom. Freedom is America's source of power, and the denial of that power to black people and others at the inception of this nation and for nearly 200 years after its founding remains a stain and a source of pain.
What? Wait. Hold on. The argument that slavery leaves a stain on America is something that Prager University has explicitly argued against. A stain, as in a lasting effect? That's what a stain is? It stays. That's the point of the term. Did they just contradict themselves? Yeah, they did. Other PragerU videos have explicitly said, this is all in the past. Slavery, you know, it was a mistake. We did it. Now we've back better than ever. We got rid of slavery faster than anyone, which isn't true, by the way. Yeah, I guess whatever arguments work best for whatever video you're using.
Yes, some of the founders had slaves, but almost all of them knew that it was morally wrong and would one day end.
That's worse.
When Thomas Jefferson wrote the words, all men are created equal, the slavery question was resolved.
Wait, what? So it was resolved, comma, asterisk, 150 years in the future? Wait, no, not 150 years. Yeah, like 100 years in the future? What? What? Dog, white people feeling bad about some shit 100 years ago doesn't mean that the racism didn't just... Did they, like, Abraham Lincoln, he, like, did his Gettysburg Address, and he was like, oh, yeah, well, I mean, this basically already happened, so... What? This is incoherent. It's a stain, but also was resolved. They knew it was wrong, but then they fixed it, but not for 100 years? This is meaningless. This is absolutely meaningless.
The only issue was how and when. And it took a lot longer than it should have. But it did end. And a lot of good people died on the battlefield to see that it did.
So wait, if we lived in a brutal dictatorial regime, and a million years ago they said all people are created equal, but then they continue to like rigorously oppress massive swaths of the population, is that like a resolved issue? Like, have you ever read the Soviet Union's charter? Does that mean none of the shit that happened afterwards mattered because they were committed to the principles of equality beforehand? That's a question I'd like to ask them. Hey, the charter of the Constitution of the Soviet Union was pretty progressive. Does that mean like, oh yeah, the Holodomor, the oppression of the ethnic minorities, whatever. Also, notice the language used here. This is very funny to me. Hold on.
And a lot of good people died on the battlefield to see that it did.
No mention that it was the Confederates fighting for slavery or the Northerners fighting against it, okay? Admitting, by the way, that the Civil War was about slavery, but don't want to alienate our audience by pointing out that this is how small the conservative brain is. You can acknowledge 98% of the information surrounding a historical fact, but as long as you don't fill in the last piece, your audience won't connect the dot on them. I bet you conservatives are watching this just nodding like, But in the next video, they'll go back to saying that it was a war of northern aggression or that it was fought over states' rights, and they'll go, as long as you don't directly say it to them, the explicit language, the Confederates fought a war to preserve slavery. As long as you don't say that, then they'll just continue nodding along.
And when it ended, giants like Booker T. Washington and Frederick Douglass understood that Black Americans would have to succeed on their own as free men and women.
Yeah. Yes, Frederick Douglass, known advocate for libertarian free market economics with no broader social support. Not to speak, by the way, didn't Booker T and Frederick Douglass fight against each other all the time? Frederick Douglass spent his entire life demanding the state do more for black people because an unbelievable harm must be remedied with an unbelievable good. Like, again, they can only say this about these people because they're dead now. If PragerU existed 100 years ago, they would have been calling both of these guys the N-words. Oh, it's W.E.B. Du Bois fought with Booker. I gotcha.
And women. They had no illusions that the government would save them. They only want...
I can't... Dude, the reason they wrote that was they were saying, like, when they did say this, it was like, the government is so fucked and so racist that we have no choice but to act on our own. But they wrote extensively on the extent to which the government's preferential treatment of white people had led to them being preferred in society.
They only wanted what all Americans should ever want the government to do: protect their freedom. But the founders never promised.
How do you get your freedom? Hold on. Frederick Douglass advocated for some pretty spectacular stuff. Frederick Douglass on revolution and integration. Yeah, Frederick Douglass was had some thoughts on this. The relation of revolution and integration, involving a twofold effort to overthrow an unjust order and then to reconstitute society on terms of equality and concord between the antecedent orders ruling and the subordinated classes, has long provoked controversy in Afro-American political thought. An exceptionally insightful analysis of this problematic relation appears in the political thought of the eminent 19th century abolitionist and integrationist Frederick Douglass. Yeah. Like, Douglass talked about the domination of black people by the state for being reliant on white people for their material existence. He was more radical than they want to admit. Of course, they do the same thing with Martin Luther King Jr. And by the way, Sean, dumbfuck as he is on Twitter, his video on the 1776 Project talked about this. How Prager University, Donald Trump, the Republicans in general, they'll take the writings of like black revolutionaries and they'll just completely twist their words only because they're now dead. Whereas if these figures were still alive, they would be calling them SJW libcucks, communists, America haters, etc., etc. But it's really only because they're dead that they get away with this. But I invite any PragerU fan How do you feel about Prager University just lying to you? Like, how do you feel about that? Like, it's not just differences in opinions, it's that the way these videos are constructed, they just lie to you. Doesn't that make you feel weird? Like, if your positions were good, they should be able to, stand on their own a little bit?
Love, not to whites or blacks or anyone else. During his famous I Have a Dream speech, Martin Luther King referenced freedom 20 times. He never once spoke the word love. Why not?
What?
Because America has nothing to do with that. If you want love,
what is this
and we
love
all do,
fixation?
Look to God, your family, and your friends. The government doesn't love you and isn't supposed to.
Why does it, again, so the goal here is to conflate a humane social service program with love, by the way. Because they know that there are material benefits to having welfare programs and government support. Instead, they take all that and they boil it down to love. Like, people who collect checks from the government think the government loves them. This is some highly delusional shit, and it's actually some really strong projection, because it is in fact conservatives who love the state. Conservatives in PragerU and the like, they're the ones who worship the state, who worship the flag. They're the ones who believe that the state is like an apparatus designed to cater to their emotional needs. They're the one who make the state a father figure. And they project that onto people who just want a goddamn paycheck from the government because the economy is broke. This is really pathetic.
The government is a poor and abusive provider. It offers the bare minimum and fosters a dependency that undermines freedom. During the
Except countries with stronger welfare states also have greater economic mobility. Don't look that up. If you're a conservative, don't look that up, okay? It's very triggering. But countries with better welfare systems have higher economic mobility. People are more likely to move out of poverty with better welfare systems. Don't look that up. It'll be very upsetting to some people.
2020 Black Lives Matter season, NBA players actually
Black Lives Matter season? Okay.
Wore jerseys with the slogan, "Love us," emblazoned on the back.
Based.
You can't demand love from people.
What?
Love is freely given.
Wait, weren't we talking about love from the state? Why are we talking about a fucking jersey logo now? What is the relationship between this? Are we just talking about love as a concept? What does this mean?
Or not given at all. Telling people not to call you this name or that name, or not to act this way or that way, consciously or unconsciously, because it offends you, will not bring you love.
Okay, then I'm going to refer to veterans, Republicans, conservatives, and every other group you like exactly how I want. By the way, this is from the political party who fielded a president who tried to get people deported for burning the flag. By the way.
Love is your mother's smile, or that look your kid gives you when you come home from work.
This is very
Love
weird.
is that man or woman who protects you when you're scared and provides a home where you can flourish. And love is what God offers you every moment of every day.
This is very weird.
To the government, you're just a social security number, nothing more.
Again, nobody is saying, also doxed, wow. Nobody is saying the government loves them. Where is this argument coming? I've never heard this from anyone.
I'm okay with that because I don't want or expect the government to know or care about me.
Cool.
Mostly, I want the government to leave me alone. I'm proud to be an American.
Well, wait, hold on. You want them to leave you alone, except you want them to protect property rights, to have cops around that defend people's businesses and homes and what have you. You want them to enforce the law, right? So you do want the police, at the very least, to have some sort of role in the functioning of society. Okay. So if you believe, then, that the imposition of government force can actually increase your freedom, which I believe, by the way, making murder illegal and then enforcing that law does make society more free, would you not then argue there are other positive things the government could do to make everyone more free? Like, for example, a universal basic income. That way, people would be free to spend more of their free time pursuing things which interest them, or improving themselves, learning skills, talents, hobbies, vocations, going to night classes in college, rather than having to spend every waking minute working to survive. That would be an increase in freedom, would it not? Sure, people would have to pay taxes to sustain that universal basic income, But if we take a look at, say, for example, any real country that isn't just a collection of military industrial complexes and pharmaceutical companies contained by a border, you would find that welfare programs actually increase economic activity. Your country produces more wealth because people can educate themselves further, and educated workers are more productive. See? See? Hmm? 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 Hmm.
And I'm proud to be a black man in America. Blacks have made enormous contributions.
Jason Whitlock, the guy talking, is a sports journalist, and this year called Black Lives Matter the same as the Ku Klux Klan. He also used to work for Outkick, crazy right-wing sports and political rag, and then left under some weird passive-aggressive terms. Indie native Jason Whitlock, Black Lives Matter is no different from KKK historian disagrees. You know what? I bet he's full of shit. Hey, Jason Whitlock, okay? You should put your commitment to the test, okay? And you should choose a family member that you love most. You seem to care very much about love, okay? And you should have them spend 1 week with BLM advocates and 1 week with Ku Klux Klan advocates, okay? You wouldn't take that up, would you? Because you know you're full of shit, don't you? Yeah, you know. Yeah, you know. People who say this shit know exactly how full of shit they are. Yeah. No. Absolute horseshit.
To this country. But let me tell you what our single greatest contribution has been. We have been this nation's moral conscience.
Black people?
Blacks have forced America to live up to its best ideals.
I believe this, but this is from, I'm pretty sure this language is taken directly from the, what's the project? The New York Times project? The 16, what is it? I always forget. I can't remember numbers. Come on, guys. Help me out here. The 1619 project. Is this not the language of the 1619 project? That the promises of America were a lie until black people forced them to uphold those promises? Isn't that literally the main thesis of the 1619 project? Yeah. Hold on. Can I see if I can? Well, we can't read the whole damn thing, but especially if it doesn't load. That definitely impedes our ability to see. If the thing doesn't load, that makes it less likely that we'll be able to. Okay. Is it website down? Doesn't say it's down. Oh, there we go. Hold on. There we go. I think the word forced was actually used in the... No? Oh, it's somewhere in there. It's a huge document. We can go over it sometime in the future. But I'm pretty sure that language is taken directly. Whitlock on Colin Kaepernick. Ooh. Congrats on Colin Kaepernick, social media, the 1619 Project, and all the other woke warriors who made this dream a reality. Based. While 4/5 of white Americans and 2/3 of both Hispanics and Asian Americans say that the anthem made them feel positive, a much smaller 35% of black Americans share those emotions. Damn, I wonder why black people wouldn't be made to feel super positive from the national anthem. That's so crazy to me. I wonder how this guy felt about making fun of the results of this poll and then going on to say that black people have been America's moral conscience. How do you simultaneously believe that black people have been America's moral conscience, but then say black people don't like the national anthem? Must be something wrong with them. How do you... What? Why are conservatives like this? These are obvious logical contradictions. They trip over and over again. I wish I could find the beating heart of conservatism and scream into it until the cognitive dissonance just caused it to melt. This is obvious shit. It's so stupid. You know how like in movies and video games, enemies, like the enemy faction or enemy organization is like so obviously dumb or evil, and you think like, how do these people get the necessary members? How do these people get the organizational support? How do these people get all of the support they need to mount whatever campaign or organization? But then we have real life conservatives who are unironically as fucking stupid as just plainly on the face incorrect as any. This is like Team Rocket shit. Like, how? I'm genuinely asking. I do not know. Because Whitlock there are contradictory statements in this video. There are contradictory statements in this and this. And I can believe maybe Whitlock's a grifter, got paid $50,000 for the speaking here. Great, fine, whatever. But there are people in the comment section who just agree with this. What is wrong with their brains? I genuinely want to know. The information here isn't culturally wrong. It's objectively wrong. The contradictions here would be evident to a robot with no understanding of human culture. Okay? But the people, they just like it. They don't think. I don't see the contradiction here. I know Tron Panda TKS. That's my point. You don't. You're not capable of it. The more I see stuff like this, holy shit, the more I'm going to horseshoe theory myself into the position of like a 19th century eugenicist. Like, there's something wrong with the bumps in these people's skulls. Like, it has to be that. I don't know what else. There has to be some pressure fucking pressing down on a brain clump of theirs or something. I don't know. It's crazy to me. Oh God, I don't know what to do, guys. Guys, can you blue pill me for a second? Hope pill me for a second, please. Explain to me how conservatives can exist without just succumbing to this nihilistic belief that there's just no intellectual activity in these people. Please, 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 please. I need it. I need an injection of help right now. And this happens in every debate that I do too, man. Every debate that I do with conservatives and every debate that I do, these are like obvious. They don't think past one or two questions into their ideology. It's insane to me. People complain about liberals. Man, most liberal positions, you can at least run the dialogue tree a while down. Even defenders of capitalism. There are nuanced arguments in favor of it. I disagree with many of them, but there are arguments. But this conservative stuff is just inapproachable to me. It's all emotional. It's all emotional. As an advocate for reaching across the aisle, I want to believe, like, oh yeah, we just have some core disagreements. But I don't actually believe that there's a difference in what we believe. I just think that conservatives haven't developed, much like a child, they haven't developed the cognitive processes to think critically, so they just adopt whatever positions are most convenient for them to defend like some ad hoc like positions that they already know they should believe because they were told to. And that's it. There's no actual critical thinking involved. They just regurgitate the arguments that they hear. This study shows they're actually just stupider. Yeah. It is true that like a bunch of indicators for intelligence correlate negatively with conservatism. Like that is true across all income and racial groups. It's not like because this group or another. It's just being. And I don't think, by the way, it's a genetic thing. Like stupid people are more likely to be conservative. I just think that conservatism makes you stupid. It teaches you not to critically think. It numbs your brain. I don't know what else to do, guy. I'm so black-pilled on this shit, man. I can't do it. I can't do it. Are they essentially stupid or it just causes it? No. I think it causes it. I do not think that stupidity makes people conservative. I fundamentally reject that. Some people are brighter than others, and that's life. I do not think that's what makes people conservative. The world is not made bad through dumb people. It's made bad through evil people. I think that conservatism makes people stupid. I think it causes people to be stupid. We don't just see it with conservatives. We don't just see it with American conservatives either. Tankies fit in the exact same purview. Every time I have a conversation with like a tankie, they're a fucking lunatic. I'm sure they were perfectly intelligent at some point in time, and maybe in many ways other than their political beliefs they are, but they just, you know, it's just something causes those faculties to stop functioning. Are we done? I can't do anymore. Finish this point.
Our righteous pursuit of freedom, not love, compel this nation to seek and find its better self.
Okay.
It's been a long, hard road, but we're close to Dr. King's promised land.
Oh my God. I can't. All right. we have to stop. We have to stop. I can't do it.